off. All right. Hey everyone. So my name's Lee Fjord. Thanks for jumping on and joining joining all of us who are regulars, or at least regulars from the past. We are start relaunching the Make It Happen Multifamily webinar series. Um, Make It Happen Multifamily is my thought leadership platform. My wife and I started it back in 2020, and we started it with the plan to bring investors together and put them in an environment where they can thrive and meet other investors who have already reached another level of success, or like reached the level where they're owning and operating commercial real estate. So we do monthly live events here in St. Louis called Tours and Pours. Our next one is this Thursday at 6 p.m. at Schlafly Tap Room. So for those of you who are in St. Louis or in the St. Louis area, please jump in and join us for Tours and Pours. I'm going to be I'm going to be presenting, I like to call it presenting, a property that we recently purchased in Warrensburg, Missouri. We're going to be talking about the details of the deal and all that. So anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. Tonight's subject is, and the webinars are kind of interesting. I hope if you subscribe or you click the link and register through Eventbrite. If you go back in there and you click me as like a host, then and follow me, it will automatically email you every time I launch a new event, no matter what kind of event it is, whether it's Tours and Pours or one of our webinars. So today, the subject that I picked to kind of discuss amongst the group is markets, and the markets where we at Green Forest Capital choose to invest. And it is, I like to call it the West Midwest, or essentially Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Those are the markets where we are primarily focused. So yeah, we've got Make It Happen Multifamily, our thought leadership platform. I started a multifamily real estate investing firm called Green Forest Capital several years ago. So that's my company down there. So where are we? Make It Happen Multifamily, we briefly covered that. Thought leadership platform, we meet once a month in person for live events called Tours and Pours, and then we also are doing the educational webinars. And then I also started a company called Green Forest Capital. We specialize in multifamily real estate syndications, 506Bs and Cs. We have $80 million assets under management, and we like to have a lot of fun. All right. Got more people joining. So a little bit about me. I started with a duplex in 2017 and now have owned $80 million worth of real estate, over 1,100 apartments in 4 states. And at the end of the day, right now, we're at a place where we are building out our vertically integrated company. So we are now self-managing properties and building out our internal organization. So I had a coach that I hired back in 2016 who was where I wanted to be. And he told me that once you get to 1,000 units, then you can actually start going vertically integrated, start managing your own properties. Before that, you kind of want to just focus on building your portfolio, building your team, and working on systems. So that's where we are now. We're going vertically integrated. We're going to be doing some self-management. So there's a lot of benefits to investing in real estate. We all generally know them, but the most important one is cash flow. Cash flow is king. It's the best way to be able to make money. You have why invest in large scale properties? You want, economies of scale. Single family houses are difficult because every house is a little bit different. Your floor plan for your kitchen is different. The size of the refrigerator that fits into the wall box where the fridge goes is different. There's a million different things can be different about every property, but to buy apartments, the nice thing is they're kind of cookie cutter. You're just going to have one that goes, that same fridge is going to fit in every single one of the kitchens that are that same floor plan. You can force appreciation on the property by tweaking those knobs on the dial. You can add additional revenue streams or decrease expenses, and that will drastically increase the property's value through forced appreciation. You can afford to hire and or create your vertically integrated professional management company. So you're working with true professionals. You're not relying on chucking the truck to do your maintenance and Sally the real estate agent to do your management and leasing. Those people are never going to be as efficient as the true professionals that are in the industry here full time, focused on nothing but real estate property management of your specific asset class. And through all of those, that reaches, risk mitigation. So knowing that you can buy the same faucet and it'll fit in every single one of your kitchens, you can buy 100 of them at a time, is a way to be able to reduce your amount of risk on your property. All right. So why invest in the West Midwest? Well, you've got hot markets, you've got cold markets, you've got growth markets, you've got markets that are cooling, and you've got markets that are, expanding in population. We focus on markets that are growing in population and that are less risky when it comes to geographic location, like coastal markets are. There's a huge issue with flood or hurricane damage or high risk cost for insurance. So, we choose our markets based on, geographic location that is central to the United States, that have, let's just call it a diverse economy. We want to have more than two, ideally three or more industries that provide the majority of the jobs for that property. So the property like in Warrensburg, for example, that we just bought, it has Whiteman Air Force Base, that we just bombed Iran. Where do you think those planes flew out of? They kept saying like being very, they would just say, oh, it left out of Missouri. It came from the central United States. Well, where did it come from? Those B-2 bombers flew out of Whiteman Air Force Base. So the Whiteman Air Force Base, University of Central Missouri, and there is the largest TIF district in 3 counties. So a TIF district is a tax incentivized development area where developers are incentivized to build, usually it's retail development, in order to generate sales tax for the community. Sales tax is actually the greatest way for any community to grow. It's the stable base that creates most of the jobs that are part of your local government, like the police officers and the firefighters and the judges, and all of those things are paid for by sales tax. So you want to have that, retail is good. So they tax incentivize that. They've got more shopping in Warrensburg than they have in 3 counties. So that's why people choose to go there. And then on top of that, there is a giant industrial park, including a 1.2 million square foot Dollar Tree distribution center there. So you got cooling markets. There are markets that are shrinking. So people always think about St. Louis as this way. This is a fun subject because I'm from St. Louis. I'm in St. Louis. I invest in certain markets in St. Louis. But if you ask somebody from, anywhere else, well, why would you invest in a city like St. Louis? Well, I can tell you the reason why. It's because it is from an MSA standpoint, actually just kind of stagnant in market. But there are sub-markets within the city of St. Louis, or the greater MSA, that are growing. There are people moving around within the city of St. Louis all the time. They're going from, this neighborhood to that neighborhood, regardless of whether you think it's like a good thing or a bad thing. Population growth is what you really want to look for, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for growth markets with diverse economies, and not cooling markets where the vast majority of people are moving out of it or jobs are leaving. All right. So we like to buy in not big cities. I would like to call them, suburbs or tertiary markets. That would be towns, within the barrier areas of a community. So towns that are just outside the suburbs of the city. Why? Well, urban environments are they come with multiple factors. Usually they're lower, poorer quality schools. So you're working with people who usually don't have families in downtown or urban environments. You've got older properties. So most of the properties in the more urban core of a major city are going to be older properties, or they are probably outside of our budget. Let's just be honest. Usually they're also more dense, so you have to have parking lots and elevators and things like that. And we believe that the most efficient real estate that can be owned and managed is, we call it garden style apartments. Ones where you literally all it takes to maintain the common areas is a leaf blower. Literally, you just walk through the breezeways and you just blow it out with a leaf blower once a week, and bing, bang, boom. You don't have to pay a person to come in and like vacuum the carpet in the hallways and clean the elevators and clean the lobby and clean the glass doors and all that. So yeah, we don't choose to invest in major core markets. We invest in the more tertiary towns in what I like to call the West Midwest. So, what is it? It's Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. We also will look in like East Texas, or we'll look at like call it Western Kentucky and Western Tennessee as well. But we don't go to states like Illinois, or we don't go too far north because you got too much snow, and we don't go too far south because you got too many tornado or too many hurricanes. Yes, we do have tornadoes in this area, but of all the things to choose, we choose that. There's no perfect place, or else everybody would be there. Yeah, I'm kind of breezing through this pretty quick. Questions, comments, concerns? No, we'll keep rolling. So we find that these markets offer a lower cost of entry than most other big major cities in coastal markets or huge growth markets. So if you were to go to New York or Florida or California, you're probably buying like a 3 or 4 cap property. The cost per unit is so much higher than you're going to find in the Midwest. And it's not, and we don't invest in like the Rust Belt, like, Michigan or Ohio or Indiana. We're over here in the West Midwest. I find that generally the states, this area, these markets are very landlord friendly. Specifically Arkansas. Arkansas is a very landlord friendly state as a whole. Missouri is generally as well. And we have had nothing but good interactions with those other markets like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, or Oklahoma and Kansas. So we're also looking for job growth. We already kind of covered that. We're going to talk about it a whole bunch though, but job growth, job growth, job growth. Where are we looking in Missouri? So here, I'm going to move. All right, can you see the map? Yeah, you can see the map. All right, cool. So this is one of the tools that we like to use. It's called CoStar. So, boom, we've got St. Louis, Columbia, where the University of, or what is it? It's Mizzou, is located. Kansas City, Missouri, Springfield, and Joplin. So we like to invest in all of these markets because they're the major MSAs, but we're not focused on the center of those. We're focused on those, more tertiary submarkets. And then if you go down to Arkansas, we're primarily focused on Northwest Arkansas. We do have one property in the Little Rock MSA in a town called Hot Springs. But we look here and we look here. And then in Kansas, we're really only focused on Kansas City. We like Manhattan, Kansas, because it has the college, and Wichita as well. Then you have Tulsa and Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. And that's where we look. It's pretty simple. Now, each one of those exhibits a certain good focus. So you've got, let's see, Kansas City. What are we looking for? We're looking for upper arrows. We're looking for, annual rent growth. We're looking for rent growth. What St. Louis is. So even though St. Louis is one of those markets where people are like, oh my gosh, maybe it's a scary place to invest or whatever. Well, annual rent growth in St. Louis is still 2.3%. And Kansas City, this market that everybody's so hot on, is still only a little bit more. But we don't go to Memphis. Why don't we go to Memphis? Their rent growth is only 0.6%. So we don't go to Memphis for a lot of reasons. And you always have to focus on those little things. Those little things really do make a big difference. But check out this one. I can probably tell you. Northwest Arkansas. Yeah, their rent growth is 2%. So yeah, let's see. We'll keep trucking here. And if anybody wants to go a little bit further of a zoom in, we can do that. But I'll bring these back up here in a minute. So we got Joplin, Springfield, Columbia, St. Louis, and Kansas City. Then let's dive in a little bit more detail. We're going to go to submarkets. All right, so you got the submarkets of these cities. You can focus in on each one a little bit closer. So you've got like mid-county, you've got areas of St. Louis that have like, rent growth of 1.6, but then you've got like downtown, it's still got a little bit of growth. South City, that's high rent growth. You've got 3.6 growing there. Jefferson County, each one has their own little factor that you want to know. So when you're picking your market, you want to know that market in such detail that you can quote these items, even like crime statistics or so on and so forth. Like how many units are in that area. You don't want to go to an area where it's going to be like nothing but like where there's only 700 units. You want to be able to go to a place like, West County, where you've got 29,000 units available in that area. So, yeah. So like Springfield, Greater Springfield, it's actually a pretty good market. It's got decent population growth. It's got good, solid annual rent growth all across, the Greater Springfield MSA. Decent population growth. And then you're also looking for like crime statistics as well. All right, we'll keep moving. So we talked about Kansas City. We like Manhattan and Lawrence as well. Um, is it Lawrence is where the college is, isn't it? Or is it Manhattan? I forget. I want to say
Both
it's Lawrence.
both have
Yeah,
KU, yeah, the Jayhawks or whatever the hell they're called.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Idiot
yeah.
Hawks. Blue.
That's Lawrence, isn't it? That's where the Jayhawks are. Yeah, yeah. So we also like college towns a lot. We've had a lot of success with our properties in Northwest Arkansas, like Fayetteville, as well as others where like Warrensburg, where the University of Central Missouri is located. So college towns, why? Base of economy. You've got economies that are never going away. You will always have that economic driver in those college towns. We also in Oklahoma City or in Oklahoma, there's really not, I'm sad to say, like there aren't enough big markets in Oklahoma, unfortunately. There's like basically you have Oklahoma City and you've got Tulsa. I mean, there's like Lawton, but Lawton is kind of not it's like a boom bust town. It's like an oil town. And then yeah, Arkansas, we love Northwest Arkansas. It's booming population growth. Let me show you this. It's crazy. So let's go to Northwest Arkansas. Why do we invest in Northwest Arkansas? All right. So we're looking for demand, population growth. Over 5 years, the population has grown by 14% in this area. It's crazy. 14% population growth. It's absolutely booming. Absolutely booming. And inventory being delivered is actually down in that area. So it's like, supply and demand are a big, big focus. Every single one of these arrows is up. We've got rent going up. We've got, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom going up. Concession rate going up is actually not a good thing. You don't want to see a lot of concession rate, but we're seeing a lot of that right now in our market, or in the entire nation. You're seeing a lot of concessions. People are moving and you want to convince them to move into your unit. So you give them a couple weeks off their rent or a free TV or whatever you might want to call it. Yeah. Right. Boom. Northwest Arkansas. All right. What does this look like in action? So I'm going to show you. Let's say. Mm, 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 mm. Where's my website? Here we go. All right. So we bought a 3 property portfolio outside of St. Louis in 2019 called Park Hills. We called it the Park Hills portfolio. It's made up of 3 properties. You've got Arbor Ridge, it's 136 units. You've got Brindley Haven, which is 48 units. And then you got Columbia Park. Columbia Park is another 88 apartments. This property is located. Got it here. Yeah, accept. Okay, well, I know where it is. It's not searching. It is right here. All right, there they are. It's in a little town called Park Hills, Farmington, Missouri. So, there. This one might be better actually for the map. That's St. Louis. It's a little town an hour outside of St. Louis. Uh, Park Hills Farmington basically makes up a total population of around 35,000 people. Well, why would I want to go there? Why would I want to buy in some little town an hour outside of the 25th largest MSA in the country? That St. Louis is known for 3 things. Does anybody have a good guess of what everybody thinks of first when they think of St. Louis? Let's take a poll. Yeah. All right. What's the first thing?
Crime.
Crime. Yes, crime is the first one. What's the next one?
Niche.
Is it beer?
Here is one of the 3. Yeah.
The Cardinals, sports.
Baseball, literally. Crime, beer, and baseball. That's what, if you ask anybody outside of St. Louis, what is St. Louis best known for? Crime, beer, and baseball. Why would I want to buy in a town an hour outside of crime, beer, and baseball? Well, I saw something that a lot of people didn't see. I saw that this town of 30,000 population has doubled in the last 20 years. It has booming population growth. It's insane. Like more, and why? Why is this town growing so much more than anywhere else? Well, it's growing because it has the largest TIF district in 3 counties. It has the largest hospital in 3 counties. It has a college, which is great. People come from all around to go to this little community college, which is great. And where are all these people coming from? They're coming from all of these other little towns. They're all moving out of the little town where downtown consists of like a Dollar General and like a single, gas station, like literally a one stop sign type town. And people are moving to the big city. They're moving to where the Walmart is. And everybody from these little towns that are surrounding Park Hills, like if you look at like Irondale and Sigdonia and Peoria and Banner and Bellevue and Ironman and Doe Run and Avon and all the Clearwater, all these little towns. Well, they don't want to move too far. Their version of a big city is Farmington. Their version of a big city is 30,000, 35,000 population and a community college where they can learn how to weld. And yes, it does have an amazing welding school here at this town or at the what's it called? It's called the
Mineral Area College.
Mineral Area College. Thank you. Yep, Mineral Area College. And they have an amazing welding school. It's awesome. And I saw that this town was growing at a clip of like 6% annually. So for every 100 people that live in Farmington, 6 more people were moving into Farmington every year, and nobody was looking at it. They're like, no. So also, what happens when you pick these little towns? You don't have as much competition. You're not competing with, all of these people from all over the country, New York and California and wherever. They are not coming to Farmington. They're probably not even, I mean, they'll go to St. Louis because at least St. Louis is, 25th largest MSA in the country. But you tell them like, hey, I own a property in Farmington. They're gonna be like, huh? Where's that? I'm gonna be like, yeah, exactly. That's how we were able to buy that property before any other buyer. That's how we were able to have convinced the seller that we were the right people for the job because we could just buy it right off of them. And guess who we bought it from? A local mom and pop. We bought this property from a guy who owns a company in town that builds the machines that make cement. And 20 years ago, his accountant told him he needed some tax deductions, so he should go out and he should build some apartments. And his kids were they were young and they were looking for a job. And dad was like, I'm gonna have you go manage these apartments. So he had these kids living in these apartments. And guess what? There was a line item on the expenses every single month, and it was like these 2 names, and it was housekeeping services. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that the name of the housekeeping services? Is it like Joe and Jake? And then I realized they were paying for the sons of the owner to have their house cleaned on the property's books. Just like, let's just put it on the property. It sounds good. We'll have the cleaning company go in and do that. There were laundry machines at Columbia Park where the wife of the husband would drive over to the property once a week and she would go into the laundry rooms and she would empty out the coins machines and dump them into her purse. They didn't even put that as an income line item on their property records. It was insane. The best part about this one was that, okay, so this property is built in 2007. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Let's see if I can get a street view here. All right, boom, street view. 2007 construction. All right, and I mean, it's beautiful brick on the outside. I'm looking for something very important here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I don't see him. What are we looking at here? I can't find it, but where are they? Anyway, so he was paying for 100% of the utility costs, every single dollar of it. But yet the units are all individually metered. So even the electric he was paying for. So if you're a tenant and your electric bill is included in your rent, what are you going to do? You're going to be running that thing through the roof. You're going to be 80 in the winter and 60 in the summer. The average electric bill of this property was $85 a month. And that's across 272 units. So when we were thinking about value add, we weren't thinking about, ripping the roof off and replacing it. We weren't thinking about, having to go and replace all the decks. Yes, the decks needed staining, but they didn't need much else. We were thinking about operational efficiencies. So if you pull out your calculator real quick, I'll even do a little bit of the math for you, but I highly recommend doing this. Take 272 apartments, multiply it by $85 per unit times 12 months out of the year. What do you get? You get 277,000. That's what their electric bill was annually. And you take that and you divide it by, let's be conservative, a 7 cap. We bought it at an in-place 5, by the way. This is why when certain properties are like, why would any dumb fool buy this property for a 5 cap? It's because I know that I can move these electric bills back into the tenants' names because we did, and because everybody else in the area pays their own electric bill. So you divide that by 0.07, and what do you get? You get almost $4 million. $3.963 million. That was the increase in value that we were able to create on this asset by literally just renewing the tenants, keeping the same tenant in place, and having them take over their electric bill. So when you're picking your markets and you're picking your properties, you don't have to pick just like, I want to pick Huntsville, Alabama. Because why? Because everybody's moving to Huntsville, Alabama, and population growth, population growth, population growth. Or Jacksonville, Florida. Well, Jacksonville, Florida, you're going to be buying something at a 5 cap that's built in the 1970s where, you're not going to, where the owner is already an institutional owner is already maximizing the growth, the potential income of the property. You're not going to find very many mom and pop owners where, yes, the wife is just taking the quarters straight out of the washing machines and dumping them into her purse and not recording how much they're actually collecting. And literally it was just a 0 line item on their income and expense statement because they couldn't track it and they never did. That makes us like that. Those average, I want to say, bring us in like $1,500 a month. So that's what, like $18,000 a year. I mean, just actually going in and collecting the quarters and recording them, that alone, what is that? 18K divided by 0.07. That alone increased the value just by recording that you made the money, increased the value of the property by $257,000. So why do we invest in the markets we do? Why do we pick markets where we can be the best landlord in the area and be able to find more mom and pop owners is because of that's why we pick those smaller markets. That's because we can take advantage of buying from mom and pops, and there's lower competition from bigger institutional owners who will go in and buy it just because they can. They don't even know where Farmington is. If you were like, hey, where's Farmington? I still have a lot of owners in St. Louis of multifamily when I'm trying to convince people to, be a featured owner for Tours and Pours that are like, oh, where? And I'm like, Farmington. It's 45 minutes south. And they're like, yeah, I don't know where that is. I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't buy anything there. I don't know I don't know. I don't want to bother. I'm happy where I'm at. But these little towns that are an hour outside of decent sized cities can really be powerful.
So how
Really,
much
really.
did you pay for it?
58 8 a door. 16 million bucks. And our, what is it? Let's see. Our rents are now, we're getting $7.95 on a one bed. We do offer midterm rental units on a month by month basis that come furnished for $15.70. And our two beds rent for $9.50. So for
You're cheap.
58 8 a door, plus a coat of paint and some carpet, not new kitchens, not new stacks, not new roofs, not new all the money spent on $15,000 worth of granite and jewelry to get an extra 100 or whatever per month. Literally just paint and replace the carpets. And we went from a $650, $700 rent on these two beds to $950.
How difficult is it?
Plus the water and electric bill. What were you saying, George?
Yeah, I was just wondering how difficult was it to convince the current residents that they ought to pay for their own utilities?
We turned over almost 30% of the property in the first year.
So in other words, folks were saying, I'm out. A couple, those 30%, or some of them.
Standard, you're going to have attrition automatically of like, call it 20, 25 anyways. So probably an extra 15% of the tenants said no. I mean, it was more, but if you're going to do the same with any other value add property where you're going to go, hey, you're paying this much and we're going to renew you at this much, they're going to leave anyways.
Mhm.
But if you compare that to, hey, we love having you, we want you to stay, but we need you to pay your electric bill and we need you to pay a $40 water sewer trash bill, and we're going to keep your rent the same. Does that feel better?
It does much. Yeah, absolutely.
Does it sound like an extra $125 a month in expense? Doesn't sound like it,
Really, not
but
really.
it is. Yeah.
And they probably can convince themselves that I can adjust my thermostat accordingly.
Yep. Or they go to another property to go look at renting and they look at the rents available and they say, well, do you include 100% of the utilities?
Yeah.
There aren't very many owners that do. I can't think of any. And most of the owners who these days who have bulk metered properties where you have like 1 meter per building or like even per complex, they're going to a RUB system where they're still billing the tenants back. Most of them. I mean, we do it too on some of the older properties we bought. But yeah, like our lowest rent in the entire community are these one beds at Columbia Park because they were built in the 90s and the rent's like $7.85. And we bought it for 58 8 a door. Yeah. You got your hand up, Aubrey. What you got? Yeah.
Sorry, I was in another meeting before this one started, so I don't know if you've already addressed this at the beginning, and then my computer died, so I'm so sorry. For these properties, are you holding them, for how long? What's the goal of this property for you, I guess?
I'll show you.
And I apologize again if you already
No.
mentioned that. Sorry to everybody
No,
else.
all good. So we'll move this out of the way so you don't see all my passwords and everything. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah, marketing.
And I guess maybe it just depends on what you have and what's flowing in and out of it or where it's located, but yeah, what's kind of your standard goal, I guess?
So our plan with this property was what I like to call a refi and roll. So what we did is we bought the property in 2021. And then we executed our business plan. We went and we put the utility bills back into the tenants' names. We increased the rents, not all the way to market, certainly not on our renewals. But then after that, we did a refinance, or actually, truly what we did is we did a supplemental loan. So we took our original loan at 3.48% interest and we added a new loan onto it. And we returned 100% of the invested capital back to our investors. And we just keep it. And we were still able to distribute over an 8% return annually for the first 40 months of ownership. So the investors got 8% on their money, on time, on schedule, every single quarter. And then they got 100% of their money back. And then we just keep the property.
That's awesome.
We just did our first distribution post supplemental loan. And based on the original invested dollar, the investors still got 1% last quarter. So if we just stick with what we currently have going, they'll make 4% on their money, and that's after they got it all back.
Wow, that's incredible.
Preferred business model.
Yeah. And you said you took the original loan and you did a refi, like a supplemental loan, you said?
Yep,
Which changed the rate. Is that
it
right?
does.
Okay.
Yep, our new blended rate is like almost 6%.
Okay. And that allowed you to be able to return their investment a lot faster.
Yep, it's like a giant bird.
Giant burr?
Yeah, it's like buy, renovate, refinance, repeat.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But that way you own the property with no money in the deal.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's our preferred business model. We've done it multiple ways. I've learned my lessons with like older properties where you have to go in and put like $15,000 to $18,000 per unit in renovations, which is a giant frustrating process to go through, to go and like over the course of a 2-year period, empty out the entire property and replace the entire property with all brand new tenants. It is painful and it causes a lot of turmoil and a lot of vacancy. What can you not usually plan for when you have high vacancy? Income or cash flow. And cash flow is the best part about this whole thing. So why go buy a property that needs a ton of work where you got to kick out all the people? Instead, just go find a good property in a good neighborhood that you can do management efficiencies on in a good market with a diverse economy that you can go to that. So what's the diverse economy here? This is the largest TIF district in 3 counties here. You got every major big box store. You got a Walmart, you got the largest Menards in the state of Missouri, Hobby Lobby, you've got a grocery store, you got a Lowe's, everybody from 3 counties, you even got like a weed store, they've got everything here. It just happens to be the thing that pops up on this search. But yeah, it's also where all of the car dealerships are, all the tractor dealerships are. Why? Because sales taxes they incentivize the development of all of this retail here in the area in order to bring in sales taxes for the city and for the city of Farmington. It also has this crazy thing. Where is it? I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Boom. There it is. Farmington Correctional Center. It's the 2nd largest prison in the state. It employs like something crazy, like 2,000 people. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Creates all kinds of great, stable jobs.
Hey Lee, on your second loan, was that a DSCR loan or bridge loan?
Nope. I've never done a bridge loan. We don't do floating rate loans ever. The first loan was a Fannie Mae large balance loan. So just fixed agency debt, fixed for 10 years at 3.48% at 78% leverage, something like that. Whatever 11 and a half divided by 16 is, something like that. And the second loan was a supplemental. So it gives you the ability to keep your current debt and just add another stack on top. And you keep the current rate and you keep the current terms, and you just go back and you borrow more money at a new rate on top of it. It's like a home equity line of credit.
Okay. And it's against the same bank, the same lender? Okay.
Yep, yep. And it aligns directly with the terms of the current loan. So like the termination date is the same, the prepayment penalty clauses are all written in conjunction with each other. So you don't have this like weird moving target when you're trying to, do math.
So, right. And does it have interest only, terms in
You-
there?
On the original loan, it did for 36 months. It had a 36-month interest only period. And then, yeah, now it's just like slowly but surely paying itself down.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Knowing your debt and having good quality, good quality debt is so, so important. Yeah.
Did you want to talk at all about, do you use TIF as one of your search criteria?
I look for those major shopping districts. I do. Because those major shopping districts draw people. And it's also where I would say a large percentage of our tenants actually work. Probably like 20% of our tenants work at one of those major stores, whether it be at the Walmart or the Menards or, the assistant manager at Applebee's or Colton Steakhouse or whatever the case might be. Like those people need housing. And I love providing those folks housing too. Like not just the people that work at the prison, which probably like 10% we probably have 25 people that live at our property that work at the prison. And then we probably have another, 20 people who work at the hospital. It has like the largest hospital in 3 counties there, that property. So let's look at the demographics here.
Do you worry about school districts and all that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yep. I want a place, especially if I determine I look at the property and then I go and I look at the area where it is like I look at my target demographic tenant and then I determine if that's a factor that I really want to be focused on. Like if my target demographic tenant is younger families, then yes, I'm going to definitely care about the school district. But let's say the property is 100% one beds that you're looking at, it doesn't quite matter nearly as much if the property is like 100% one beds. So, where's my information here? Population. I used to know this right off the top of my head, but yeah, you got 1% within 1 mile, 0.06 within 5. And when I actually did my deeper research, I actually found that it was even better, that the population growth in the area was even better than what I thought it was going to be. Yep. So you've got people over 55, you've got huge amounts of population growth, 5% of population growth. Why? Because the older folks are also moving to town. They're moving closer to the Walmart, closer where their kids are, all that kind of stuff. So looking into these things is really, really, really important. Like population growth, household income, all that. Right. Let's see. I lost my thing. Oh, goodness. There we go. That's what action take looks like. Boom. All right. Who thinks, they should invest in these markets? I mean, it doesn't have to be just the West Midwest, but these micro markets, smaller markets, tertiary markets are places where you can really find good properties as well. It can be anyone, anybody in this room. I just kind of listed out a few thinkers, people who are thinking more long term is really the one that I want you to gravitate towards. Real estate, is not meant to be owned for short periods of time. I mean, you're just speculating if you are. These, deals that are 1, 2, 3 year deals, those deals are the ones where you really don't get to take advantage of the second best way to make money in real estate. Best way to make money in real estate is cash flow. The money you actually get to take home and you can use to, ideally go and, invest in more real estate or, pay down, live off of or whatever. The second best money made in real estate is? What is it, George? I saw you make you.
Tax abatement in some way?
Oh, no.
No?
That's close though. It's when your tenants pay down your mortgage. It's when you just sit back and you don't even know you made that money. You don't even get the chance to go take that money to Vegas.
So it's the equity.
It's the equity. It's the equity pay down that your tenants pay for you over the long period. And that only takes effect when you're out of your IO period. Like interest only, you're only paying interest. You're not paying any principal down. So for those first 3 years, we weren't making any of that money. And a lot of properties in those first couple of years when you're doing value add don't have the ability to cash flow very well. When you're going through value add, you have high vacancy, putting a lot of money into the property, yada, yada, yada. But now that it's stabilized and it's just coasting, and every single month, the tenants are paying down the mortgage. And we've got on this property now, oh man, we've got like $16 million, $17 million worth of debt on this property now. And I've been looking at my statements every month. It's insane how much principal pay down we're getting every single month. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's crazy. Yeah. Like it adds up. Yeah, Aubrey.
Could I ask what your loan payment is? I guess if you're making hundreds of thousands, then it's over your loan payment, correct?
Let's see.
Or I guess you would be paying on your loan payment with the income you're getting from the tenants, but that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Every month, I'd have to log in and check, but let's see here. I can probably figure it out pretty quickly. Let's go to, boom, here we go.
And I guess too, would you want to pay more toward the loan? Like, let's say they're paying more than what the loan payment is. Do you just put all of that toward it? Or how do you break that up? Okay, you don't want to pay it off too soon because it's like, why? There's no point to do that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But hundreds of thousands, I don't mean like every month. It's in the year.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
It's like 350,000 a year.
Nice.
Yeah. Then principal pay down every
Yeah.
year. That's money we don't even know
Right.
we had. And it's also not fake money. It's not blue sky like appreciation. Appreciation is blue sky money that isn't actually real money because you only get it when you sell. Now, as long as you can still sell it for the same price you paid for the property after, paying a broker to sell it for you, yes, like principal pay down is real money. But blue sky appreciation is not real money until you sell or refi.
Gotcha. And do you do like a 30-year note or 15? What is your typical?
10.
10? Okay,
10
gotcha.
years. Yep.
Nice.
And then like this deal, our plan is to hold it for 10 or more years. So we're going to own this one for a total of 10 years, and call it in year 9 when we think we're going to sell potentially. We'll go out to all of our partners and we'll say, hey, this is what we think we're gonna sell it for. This is what the brokers tell us the value of the property is. This is what the market is saying. Do we want to sell? This is what the proceeds would look like. You would get X, whatever. Or we've been operating this way. Do we want to do it again? You want to do another refi? Get another nice little payday and then keep getting a drip for another 5 or 10 years. That'll probably be how I vote. I'll probably vote to keep it. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, because if I sold, I would have to go out and find another property to replace it, because I'd be wanting that cash flow still. I'd have to realize all of the gains that I've taken as well. And I hate paying taxes. Ugh. All right. So this is the part where we talk about partnerships. How can we partner together? We do partner with people of all different levels. And we are a syndication company. So if you're interested in passive investing, or investing as an LP in one of our future deals, let's have a conversation about it. I'm low pressure. We jumped in, and I think it was Christopher said that he had LP'd on a deal where he's coming along for the ride and learning along the way. So if you're interested in coming along for the ride and learning along the way, I'd love to be able to have you be with us in the station wagon. If you want to jump in and you believe in that particular property and the operator who is running that business, because every one of these is a business. It's not just real estate. It's a business, and you can screw it up pretty easily. All you got to do is piss off enough of your customers and you're out of business. But if you are, then, I'd love to be able to schedule a call, and all you got to do is scan the QR code or shoot me a text or an email if you already have my contact information. We can do Q&A too. I got some time. I got another little bit of time. If you guys have some time and want to ask questions or anything.
Good question. This is Midge.
Yes.
So when you're looking at these markets, and I will use a very good example, Wentzville. You're looking at these markets, and I know Park Hills very well. I lived down there when it was called Flat River. What a crap hole it was
Yeah.
back then. Anyway,
Yeah.
there was nothing there before except for a super fun site. No lie. But Wentzville is a good example of this. When you look at one of the markets that you talked about, kind of within the MSA, but out far enough to be considered a burb and have its own market, right? It's got, like Wentzville has the GM plant, it has several different things, it has farmers, pretty diverse, and it has people who commute, all of that. So you take a place like Wentzville and you go in to look at it to possibly buy a property, and you realize that it is so freaking saturated with developers, not just
Mhm.
developer like freaking John Eilerman and McBride and Sons making all of these 1,000 new home subdivisions, but you've got builders actually making multifamily apartment complexes because they know that's where the money's at. I look at Wentzville and I say, could I even ever get in? Do you ever take that into account and say, nope, there's too many developers and it's a no-go? Or do you even consider that?
I want to go where the developers are going most of the time. I really do. I want to go there because those guys have consultants that they pay way more than I can afford to pay. I want to go where the brand new Chick-fil-A is going in. That's where I want to be buying. I want to be going where the brand new Starbucks is. I want to be going to the place where all the new houses are being built.
That would be
I want to be
Wentzville.
there. And I'll overpay in order to go there every time. And it's usually where the new stuff is. The new stuff and the
That was
new
a good
development.
nugget. Hold on a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
You said you would be willing to, okay, we all need you to slow down and not say anything else for a second so we can take our notes. Because that is interesting that you said that. That's
Yeah, they pay big money for that, all of those consultants to tell them where they should be building. And yeah, like growth is good. And
I assume though, Lee, you're looking at absorption, because if absorption's not keeping up with growth, then I would not want to go to Wentzville or one of those markets.
yeah, you do. You need to know that the inventory supply is matches the demand, or because if that developer runs into a scenario where his leasing is not getting as effective as he thought it was going to be, he's just going to drop his rates. And he's just going to drop and drop and drop his rates. And competing against a brand new property is always going to be much more difficult.
Right. Because what kind of gap, like in Wentzville's a great example, what kind of gap would you feel comfortable having between Class A rents of new build versus a Class B building that you're acquiring?
Probably 10%. So if you've got like rents at 1440 for a 1 bed or a two bed, then if you can be at 1200 on a B class property, you're probably doing fine.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, yeah, because I would worry about a market like Wentzville, because they come in and to your point, oversupply. Now they lower your rents and your business case falls apart pretty quickly because you got to keep that gap.
It can, yep. And you will always need to be below A class, below that brand new stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same thing can happen from an entire community standpoint where people are just moving out of the area, population growth is shrinking, all of that. But most of the time, the bigger developers are going to the right areas for the right reason. And it's not just apartment developers. You want to be looking for big institutional retail and office developers as well.
Yeah. What about other asset types? Do you invest in storage or industrial or anything?
I'm looking at storage. Storage is the next asset class that I'll probably go into. Yeah. Yeah. And we own like some small stuff too, like small multis and single family houses, but
Yeah.
from investment standpoint and true growth and scale, yeah, storage is probably the next asset class that I'll also invest in. But I'll always have apartments.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the core.
I'm curious, who's on your team? You mentioned you're building your team out to do
Yeah.
more property management. Who's on the team and what roles do folks play?
Yep. So I've got my two core, my right hand and my left hand. One is more operations and the other is more sales. So Colby focuses more on leasing and sales, and Samuel is you're more like sitting back, making sure that, all the bills get paid on time and all that kind of stuff. So having those different, puzzle pieces that fit together really well is so important. And then our staff level, we have a traveling construction crew that works for us now. It's two guys that travel around to all of our properties and we send them wherever we need them. And they'll go in and they'll turn a unit. They basically move from town to town to town for us, and they'll turn a unit in 2 days, 3 days, depending on how much work needs to be done. They'll do everything. They just redid, put all brand new cabinets, floors, counters in a 1 bedroom apartment that I have here in the area in St. Louis. They got it done in a week. Full repaint, all new everything, and a stack. And they redid the stack too in a week.
Wow.
What's the stack?
The plumbing stack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ripped it all out, gutted out the wet wall and replaced all of it and the kitchen cabinets. And we rewired in a above the range microwave, installed all the appliances and all that in 6 days. 6 days, two guys.
And they're on your staff or you contract with these guys?
Nope, they work for me. But I have to find 6 days worth of work for them every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a full-time property manager and a full-time maintenance guy as well. And then as we continue to accumulate more assets, we'll grow the property management division.
The property manager is central, or he's actually moving between all your states and
He's at one single property in Warrensburg. All prior to 8 months ago, we were third party managing everything except for like little stuff in St. Louis that we own.
yeah.
That Megan self-managed, but everything else, we were third party managing. And then it got to a place where I had my younger guys that were centrally located, and we found a 38 unit that we couldn't pass up on. So we were like, now's the time. So we started and launched the property management company, vertically integrated, self-managing our own properties. On that 38 unit, brought in the CapEx crew. Then we went under contract on the 64 unit in Warrensburg. So then we brought in the property manager and the maintenance guy for that property.
Nice, nice. And you do all the acquisitions or others involved in that?
I do. So Colby also does like underwriting as well as Samuel. We kind of divide it up market by market, and they kind of have their own markets that they kind of run.
Yeah, that's
And then we
awesome.
bring everything to the middle. I do like the second level tier review, and then submit offer. I usually kind of handle more of like the top line things like finding and sourcing the debt, all of like the rest of it,
Yeah.
staff, the LLCs and the PPM docs, dealing with the lawyers and dealing with the owners and dealing with the brokers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Midge. Oh, who's next? George?
So-
Yeah, Midge, Aubrey,
Yeah,
you all got
just a quickie.
Go ahead.
Just a quickie. I was just I'm not really clear on how debt. You had made some comment about, I don't know, 16 million in debt or something like that.
Mhm.
And how is debt a good thing, or help me wrap my mind around the debt comment?
Yep, that's good when someone else is paying it off for you. That's the easiest way I can put it. But that's bad when you got to pay yourself. Debt is bad when you need to go and show up at a place and use your time in order to make that monthly installment payment that you owe for that debt. That's bad debt. If you can find a way to borrow money and then have someone else pay it off for you, and I mean by pay it off, like have the ability over long periods of time to pay all of it down to zero without you having to contribute more towards it out of your own pocket from your own time, then debt is good.
And do you have any horror stories from when you were learning all this?
Yeah, I went and bought a duplex for cash, and then I put $100,000 of cash into it. And I had like almost my entire net worth invested into one duplex that was 100% vacant. Yeah, it was, and I was hiring, like, this is my first duplex. I hired the neighbors to help me demo the house at paying them hourly. No, those were bad choices. I was making bad choices with my own money, like not paying people by the job, hiring Chuck in the truck to do work for me, just making all the bad mistakes. I'm so glad that I sold that property. There's probably like 100 tubes of liquid nails in that place. Like whoever owns that place, and they paid a pretty penny for it because I sold it in like the lowest interest rate environment ever. There's at least 100 giant tubes of liquid nails holding that entire property together.
Shame.
At least I was making those mistakes with my own money. That's the thing. And I could afford to turn that into my side job for like a year that I spent 100% focus on. I was in there, breathing sawdust, dust, and doing the work myself. And I have other ones too, like I've fired a property manager who then collected the rents for another 2 months on a property of mine. And they never gave me that rent or the security deposits. It's a 6-figure lawsuit that I'm still, and then I sued him and I won. And guess what?
No money.
No money. So I then spent money on a lawyer to sue him and I won. I still haven't been able to collect. So yeah, you learn lessons along the way. You know, next I've changed a lot of things because of what the lessons that he taught me. It was a 6-figure, mistake. But it was like, okay, well, from now on, I'm the signer on all of my bank accounts for all my properties. So if I go to fire someone, I like the first thing I do is freeze the accounts and move all the money out. 100% of it. And then I do a sweep, like as money, if I fire a property management company, then I sweep the accounts every time any money's deposited. Just like I tell my banker, just like if any money comes into this account, just put it into the other account. Because I want to owe people. I don't want to have people owe me ever. I can avoid it. It's way better to have other people be like, hey man, you owe money for these expenses, whatever. And me being like, oh, no problem. Prove that I owe it to you and I will happily pay you, or whatever. Yeah. Aubrey, I think you were the last one, the most recent one to have your hand up. Go ahead.
I don't remember what I was gonna ask, so I was about to lower my hand.
Are you in a library, by the way?
Yes,
Nice, good for you. I love the library.
thanks. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I was at a military base with my wife taking a bunch of meetings in the library not too recently, and they were like, "Are you in the library?" And I'm like, "I'm in the library on an Air Force base."
Yep.
Yeah. Midge.
So my question is, you didn't show too many pictures of your properties in Park Hills, but one thing I noticed looking at that property that you told me about in Fenton, um, amenities. So have you noticed, I mean, I've noticed because I grew up in a lower socioeconomic situation. The lower the socioeconomic area or, you know, rate, the less amenities there usually are at apartment complexes, and the more renters are accepting of that situation. So do you find as you go into these markets that it's not a real big deal if they don't have pools and things like that? Or, I mean, do you tend to gravitate towards an easier management situation with no pools or anything like that? Or are you, hoping to find something that has different amenities for renters?
A-class property should have pools. I don't like pools. I honestly think that they are a giant money suck. I have a pool in Atlanta that I pay $500 a month for a professional pool cleaning company to come and clean that pool. And then my property manager threw a party, and I'm looking at the pictures of the party, and it is green pool. Even paying $500 a month, and we just put $5,000 into that pool for a new pump and a new filter. But do the tenants of that property love the pool? They do. The kids still swim in the green pool.
It's
But it's blue 3 days later because we go in and we spend $500 shocking the pool or whatever the pool. I don't know. Is it if I could not have a pool, I would avoid it personally because it's a lot of work. Nobody plays tennis anymore, so tennis like you can swap it to like pickleball maybe. I don't know, but yeah,
So
I like
not a big deal.
playgrounds. I like playgrounds. Playgrounds are good, and they don't increase your insurance cost, but they're expensive. Like we put in a new playground at one of our properties. It was $25,000. Put like for a playground, for
Curious.
not even a giant playground.
Curious why Midge asked that question.
Oh, because she didn't see a pool at my property. And
Yeah, and I mean, I've been looking at properties and, it's all, everyone in this Zoom call's dream to have a beautiful property, which by the way, those properties are nice. I love all brick. But the whole pool thing, when I looked at that place in Fenton, the agent said, well, pools are terrible and I have a pool in one of my areas and, I don't like it for this and that reason. But I also know I live in Town and Country, and in Creve Coeur, as I'm tootling around, looking through every single apartment complex, but they're more class A's, I would say,
Yeah,
B
that's a
pluses.
class A area. You gotta have a
Yeah,
pool there. Yeah,
yeah,
just
and
as
they all have pools.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm still trying to define my market and refine it. I can't afford a class A. It's not even on my horizon.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
the
fair.
reason, George, I'm asking is because I've seen different properties and when I do it, I really don't want to lose money. I want to make the right decision. So that's why I'm asking Lee, because he knows he's brilliant when it comes to this and he's got a lot of experience. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, A class, the pool is it's a have to have. B class, it's optional, and it depends on who your demographic is and who you're looking to, have at your community. I don't think that it's something that like every family is like, oh man, we have to have a pool at our next apartment complex in B class properties. I don't think that I think that they will, they'll gravitate just as much towards a community that doesn't have one in a lot of cases. Competition is look at the other properties. What do the other properties offer? I'll say that our property in Atlanta that does have a pool that we pay $500 for a pool. Every other property in the surrounding area, they have a pool, but it has been down for years, just like our pool was down for years. Like 5 years, this pool was down, and we got it back up and running, and the tenants love it, and it's great. And it's a C class property that is in a transitional neighborhood. So that's a positive for that property and why we've gotten from like where we have been able to attract decent quality tenants in a more C class community. Like we have our pick of the market in there now. But the pool store turns green and they still hear about it. You still have to deal with it. It's one more thing you have to plan for. You know. Yeah. And amenities are good, but they're not. You have to maintain them as one more thing to maintain. Like I have a property where we went and installed these like super cool. Where let me show you. I had them for. So we put in these grilling areas at one property. There's my share. It better be on my website because we spent a lot of money making them. All right, amenities. Yeah, here we go. So we built these concrete patios and these cool grilling areas with granite countertops and stainless steel propane grills. I have never once seen anybody grilling on one of these grills. This patio, I mean, I don't know I don't even want to say how much it cost me to have the contractor build. We did two of them, by the way, 138 units. But I think that both of them cost me like 15, 18 grand to build. I've seen them dirty, so I know people use them. But I've never seen I've never personally seen anybody grilling on them. Here's the other one we built. Yeah. They're really nice looking, but yeah, just one of those things.
Too much sun?
I guess. I don't know. Like I figured I'd have families out there grilling. They do use the heck out of the dog park though.
Wh-
And
What
we're
if you
very
put, what if you put some shade over the picnic tables? Maybe those will get used more often.
yeah, some like sun sails or whatever. That might be
Yeah.
kind of cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did hang a bunch of string lights at this property. I really like how this property turned out. Hot Springs, Arkansas.
I got a quick question for you about this property.
Yeah.
So I think I heard you mention before you weren't interested in the flat roofs. Is this an exception
Yep.
or?
So 2/3 of the property have pitched roofs. And we put a budget in when we bought the property to replace all of the roofs and this roof on the one section happens to have a TPO roof, the white 40-year roof. So that's why the exception to the rule. But now I've kind of changed my tune and I'm not really buying any more flat roof buildings. Like
Okay.
minimal exception to the rule. And yes, these little window boxes, they leak. It's just a thing. So we have had to go up there every time we get a tenant report that they get water in their windowsill. It's like, oh man, all right, climb up there and reseal the thing. There's like almost no way to fix it perfectly. It's crazy, unfortunately. So I don't do mansard roofs anymore. Or flat, and definitely no like flat roofs, but yeah, I try not to. But that one was an exception to the rule. Don't regret buying the property. The property's great. And I like Hot Springs and it's doing really well. But yeah, if I can avoid it, I will. 90% of the time. But it had a TPO roof, so I was like, okay, that makes a difference. All but one of the buildings. I think one of the buildings has like an old roof still. I'll never buy another building that has a boiler system, that's for sure. We share all the hot water. Oh my gosh. We had that go out. We didn't have hot water in 40 units of our property for a month.
Jeez.
Yeah. Good. Aubrey.
Do you remember what year that complex was? I mean, not what year it happened, but how old it was?
Mid to late 70s. Yeah,
Do you-
I want to say the first phase was built in like 76, 77, something like that.
Gotcha. And now you look for like late 80s or 90s, right? 90s and on. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to deal with any cast iron stacks. I don't want to have to deal with any, single pane aluminum windows, any of that old or aluminum wiring or lead-based paint or, yeah. Even the 80s now, early 80s, a lot of insurance companies are choosing not to insure early 80s properties because they're now over 40 years old. Like some of them have 40-year minimum clauses. We had one insurance company that we originally were going to place insurance on one of my properties that was built in 1980. CoStar says 89, but it was really built between 84 and 86. And because of the 3 buildings were built in 84, they canceled our policy because they only do 40 years. And I was like, oh.
Okay.
So then we had to go get a new insurance policy, and that was a giant pain in the butt, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's got PVC stacks and laterals, and it's got copper water supplies, individual unit meters on everything, all electric units, double pane windows, all the good things, but they still canceled our insurance, and we had to go for an insurance company.
I got another
Yeah.
question for you.
Cute.
Have you run into any issues as far as with the drywall? I don't remember exact. I don't know if it was 2008 where there was basically it was like a drywall shortage. So they started buying some cheap stuff from China and they weren't using proper health standard techniques and whatnot to create it. Have you found that in any of your apartments you built or checked for?
No, I haven't. We have checked like the properties that are built in the 2000s. We do check for Chinese drywall. But it's a pretty simple test. I think you just like take a little piece and you can like mail it off and they'll tell you what it is. And we pay a lot of money for our inspectors. Like we don't just go walk all the units and say like, oh, it looks good. We pay a professional company. They use like the thermal imaging cameras and all that kind of stuff as well.
All right.
You'd be surprised what you can find inside the walls of some of these properties that you never knew what was in there. Oh man, they're like, oh, what is going on there? It's nothing but red. And you're like, whoa. They're like, red is bad. Yeah, red usually does mean bad.
Hmm.
You know, there's a lot of something going on in there, a leaky window that just, you know, or whatever. We were talking about markets and then we just got talking about like properties, but that's what the Q&A usually turns into. Let's at the half hour. Anything else for anybody? Yeah, questions? No? I appreciate everybody jumping on. I'm gonna do these every month on the second Tuesday of the month. I will make sure everybody gets an invite who RSVP'd and like individually send out an email to invite everybody to come back again. And yeah, we'll just make it a collaborative kind of thing like this. Talk it out. Occasionally I'll bring on like a industry professional to discuss whatever it is that they do, you know, whether it be like, you know, legal or accounting or insurance or property management or whatever. So yeah, want to make it interactive and fun.
Thanks for making time. This was awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah. My pleasure, Patrick. Well, I hope
Same.
everybody has a great rest of your week. Thanks, Aubrey. Yeah.
I'll try to join you live on Thursday. Nothing like
Sweet.
sitting here to make an event.
Yeah, come on in.
go.
Tourism Pours. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.